fun and dandy. But being an older person here, I know it doesn't look like it, but just take my word for it. And being an academician, you know that we do very few things without the PowerPoint. And so I am not going to use the PowerPoint today, because I was asked not to. However, I am going to use my flashcards, because this is for my old heart. I can only speak from my heart using these. So I do apologize, and I do thank you for bearing with me. Right. So we hear a lot about mindfulness. How to be mindful, this is mindful, that is not mindful. So what exactly is being mindful? And how can we be mindful? None of us really want to experience ourselves like a leaf in the wind. The wind blows a certain direction and we head on there, and the wind changes and we head on somewhere else. And we feel that we really are a slave. Our behaviors, our reactions are a slave to whatever the input around us is. So in what ways can we ground ourselves? In what ways can we feel a little more empowered? By making sure that we come from a certain space as we interact with the world, instead of not being on so much of a sure-footed ground. People smile at us and we feel happy. People frown at us and we are unsettled. Now, if we would like to change that, then mindfulness would be a way to achieve that. Mindfulness is not relaxation. It isn't. It's not something that you meditate in a certain way that put you to sleep or help you go to sleep. Mindfulness is awareness. It is an alertness. Many times this is misunderstood because it has a meditative aspect to it. It is being right where you are with all the sights, smells, sounds, tastes, touch, everything in your environment, and it is you being aware of all the sensations that it brings with it. So just as you're sitting on the chair with your feet either planted on the floor or feet crossed over, legs crossed over, your awareness of the kinds of sensations, the way your back touches the back of your chair, the way your feet feel the pressure of the weight of your legs, that, being aware of that, is being mindful. This is not rocket science. It is not. It just means that you are in a dark room and you have a flashlight in your hand, and you decide where you want to point the flashlight to. What do you want illuminated? What do you want to see? How do you want to see it? Just that. Okay? It is a kind of grounding, and the grounding is with awareness, it is with a sense of calm, and it is with non-reactivity. The grounding helps in influencing as well as transforming our experience, and we'll get to ways in which it does that. So in other words, to be mindful is to know that you know. So you're not a leaf in the wind anymore. You know. Oh, the wind is blowing in the north direction. Ah, I know this. Now I don't mind going there because I'm going there with a sense of awareness. Okay? To be aware of the present moment and to experience the present moment. So we hear a lot about be in the present, be in the moment. Do we know how long a moment is? Well, any guesses? 3 seconds. 3 seconds make up a moment. And after you've paid attention in those 3 seconds, then you get ready to redirect your awareness, your attention, to the new moment. It might be a continuation of the same moment, same experience, or not. It's 3 seconds. Okay? Not so difficult when you break it down to 3 seconds, right? Okay. Now, where are we most of the time? What are we doing? We are either on autopilot. Busy. Things need to be done. And well, we have to do them. Or we are lost in our thoughts. Either we are rehashing the past, would haves, could haves, should haves, or having conversations with our own selves standing in front of the mirror. Or then we are rehearsing the future, either in a fantasy kind of way, which is daydreaming, we all love that, or then construction of worst case scenarios. very fearful anxiety scenarios. So we're not here and now, we're not in the moment, we're not in the present, we are either in the past or in the future. Well, you can do this, but it's not very helpful, because where you are is neither there nor there. Okay? So mindfulness is about what we want to direct our attention to and how we want to direct it. So once again, you're standing in this dark room and you have this flashlight in your hand and you are shining the flashlight in, let's say, one corner. You want to see what's there. Now you can do it very gracefully, very gently. You can do it in a chaotic way. You can do it in a systematic way. Oh, this corner. Now 5 degrees to the right. 5 more degrees to the right. Oh, 10 degrees to the top. You can do it any which way you want. It's just about you shining the light, illuminating certain aspects of your experience, of your engagement with your environment or people. That's it. That's it. Okay? I'd like to share 8 attitudes with you that help support us being mindful in our everyday interactions, be it as mundane as us brushing our teeth, because you can practice being mindful. I'm sorry. I didn't know you couldn't hear me. Sorry. Okay. Thank you. All right. So I'd like to talk about eight attitudes. There are many more, but these 8 are my favorites. I have struggled with them. They have been the most difficult for me, and they have brought wonderful gifts my way. So the first one, be curious. Not about getting into other people's business, but be curious about yourself. Be curious about your experience. What is it that you are feeling in the moment? Feeling emotion, feeling sensation. What is it that you're feeling? What is here that you are not yet aware of? What could you be experiencing if you were to widen the scope of your curiosity? What would become visible to you? Being curious is the antidote of boredom and mode autopilot. If you're curious, you cannot possibly be bored. Okay? Now, the second one, kindness. Believe it or not, I struggled with it. There were times in my life where I would wanted to wring people's necks. Really. Now, kindness is just being softer. Whatever your engagement is with a person, are you able to look beyond that engagement, beyond how they are interacting with you? And you are part of it too. So, are you able to look at what drives their behavior? There might be hurt or pain under the anger. Are you able to drive that kindness back towards your own insides? Are you able to be kind and softer with your own self? We are our worst critics, and we have such harsh standards for ourselves many a times. Why do we do that to ourselves? And we will still be able to be kind to other people, but we will struggle with directing that at your own selves. Change that. If you can be kind to somebody else, what stops you from being kind to your own self? What stops you from understanding your own experience? Yes, I lashed out, I lost my shit, but you know what? I was so hurt, I felt so betrayed. Can you say that to yourself in a self-calming, self-soothing kind of way? Gratitude and generosity. So, gratitude is a belief or an attitude that I have, and what I have is enough, instead of I do not have and I do not have enough. When we think we do not have enough, it takes away from the peace that we feel. It takes away from the contentment, and it lands us in a place of discontent. And not very nice things you will say and do from a place of feeling discontent. Okay? Our brain is hardwired to fill in the missing gaps. It just is. We are hardwired to identify the dots. We are hardwired to connect the dots. If there is a missing piece, we will plug it in to the best of our ability. either through our assumptions or through our speculations. We will plug that in. So, keeping a gratitude journal then is a very overt form of you holding and shining that flashlight wherever it is that you want to, whatever it is that you want to illuminate, about your own self, about your own vision and your own experience of the day. Gratitude helps us be more generous. It is so much easier for you to give from a place of plenty and abundance rather than to give from a place of scarcity. Think of your time, think of your kindness, think of your listening ear, think of your understanding. Many times it's very difficult for us to do that. If we are feeling misunderstood, it's difficult for us to sit somebody down and say, oh yes, please talk to me and I would really like to understand where you're coming from. So if you're a bit able to move away from that, you're also able to extend yourself to others. Fourth, acceptance. Oh, did I struggle with this? Okay. So, sometimes we think that we're learning about mindfulness and learning to be mindful because we want to get rid of pain and we want to get rid of all kinds of negativity. Well, that may be, but that's not how it works. Okay. It's difficult to understand why we would want to accept something that is hurtful, painful, or negative in our lives. Acceptance requires us to turn toward a situation and not away from it, not in a way of avoidance. So you stand there, you might not be like a raging bull, but you stand there and you face it, you let it emerge so that it's visible to you. It does not require you to like what you have to accept or what you are accepting. So, alright, I will end with my favorite. I'm sorry I'm out of time. My favorite is humor, because I struggled with this. I struggled to take myself lightly. I struggled really to laugh at myself. I forgot to pay attention to how ridiculous my mind can be at times and how hilarious it can be. In its pettiness, in its stubbornness, I am those things too, and in its righteous indignation. So, with that I end. I encourage you to be slower, calmer. I encourage you to get acquainted with yourselves, and I encourage you to counter busyness and counter mode autopilot with mindfulness, with getting really in the moment, immerse yourself in the moment. Thank you. Thank you.